Ever hear a speech that just clicks?
Yeah.
Makes you feel like, okay, now I get it.
Yeah, like suddenly things fall into place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're doing that today. We've got our hands on the transcript of a really potent speech by Burkina Faso's leader, Ibrahim Traoré.
Mm-hmm.
He gave it to ambassadors over in Niger. And our source here is a YouTube video from Noble Black News. It's titled, Burkina Faso leader Ibrahim Traoré delivers unforgettable English speech, shocking the West. Quite a title.
It is. In the context, it's crucial. You've got Traoré speaking in Niger, which is going through its own, major changes.
Right.
And this is all happening with this backdrop of conflict across the Sahel and what he very clearly sees as outside interference.
So our mission, if you will, for this deep dive is to really get under the hood of this speech, pull out the main messages, his arguments, what's really being said here about the situation, and, the bigger picture.
Let's do it. Where do you start?
Okay, so right off the bat, Traoré, he doesn't pull any punches about the war. He frames it as basically an attack by what he calls imperialistic forces.
Mm-hmm. A deliberate attempt, he says, to destroy their society.
To break their unity, subjugate them. It's strong stuff.
Very. But then almost in the same breath, he says, it's not going to work. It'll fail.
And why does he think that? What's the logic there?
Well, his point is that this pressure, this conflict they're facing, it's actually backfired on the aggressors.
How so?
It's forged a stronger unity, he argues. Made them more determined. They're more together because of it.
Okay. So that leads into that really powerful line.
The quote, yeah. We will never cry and we will never kneel before anyone again, no matter what happens in any situation.
Wow. That's a declaration of sovereignty right there. A
Yeah.
flat-out rejection of being controlled.
Absolutely. And he says, out of this fire, something new has been born. AES.
AES. Now, he doesn't spell it out explicitly in the speech.
No, but given everything the context, it seems almost certain he means the alliance of Sahel states, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger.
Right. And his prediction for AES, it's pretty ambitious.
Oh, it's huge. He says AES will change the history of Africa, will change the history of the world.
Not just Africa, the world.
Exactly. He's framing this alliance as like a turning point, a fundamental global shift.
And then he speaks to the ambassadors who are right there listening.
Calls them privileged witnesses. Witnesses to the harm, the suffering their people have endured since July 26th. He links it directly back.
He then zeroes in on Niger specifically, acknowledges the real pain caused by sanctions.
Yeah, the sufferings and hardships inflicted on the Nigerian people through inhumane sanctions. He highlights the human cost.
But his interpretation of those sanctions is, well, it's maybe not what you'd expect.
Right. He doesn't portray them as just crippling. He argues they've actually drawn them even closer together.
So again, adversity breeding strength.
Exactly. Reinforcing this need to fight back, to support each other. It's a consistent theme.
But he's not just talking regionally. He addresses the diaspora too, right? Burkinabe living abroad.
He does. He recognizes it must be tough for them, trying to figure out what's really happening, separating truth from lies in all the news coverage.
Yeah, that must be incredibly difficult.
And he thanks them. Thanks them for sending money back, for contributing to the Patriotic Support Fund that helps the forces fighting.
What I found interesting there was his claim that they, the diaspora, fully get it.
Mm-hmm. He says their understanding is complete and thorough, that he hasn't heard complaints or concerns, implying, I suppose, a really strong buy-in from them.
Okay, shifting focus back to Burkina Faso itself. He talks about the actual fighting, describes a time when things were tough. They were being attacked from all possible sides, even pushed back.
Acknowledging the difficulties, but then he pivots to progress.
Right. Says they're making headway now, resettling villages, reopening schools.
And makes this bold claim. Absolutely no area where our forces cannot set foot when they want to go there anywhere at all. Full access, essentially.
But alongside that, he gets back hard against the narrative coming from, as he puts it, imperialists or their local lackeys.
Accuses them of twisting the story, blowing up their losses, ignoring their gains, playing down their successes.
So it's not just a physical fight. He identifies this other threat.
The second front, physical terrorism, and also terrorism, disinformation, and manipulation.
An information war.
Precisely. He even points to recent events. Specific media outlets, he says, were spreading false information inside Burkina Faso. It's clearly a major concern for him.
This leads him to use some very pointed language. He talks about house Negroes.
Yeah, that's Very loaded terminology, accusing internal elements of working with external forces to manipulate and control.
And he claims some Burkinabe have actually gone to Ivory Coast next door.
And are actively working with these imperialists to destabilize Burkina Faso again, though he dismisses their efforts, calls it a lost cause.
You can really feel the suspicion there. Suspicion of outside powers, but also of internal dissent being co-opted.
It paints a picture of a threat coming from multiple directions: military, informational, and potentially internal betrayal.
Yet, despite all these challenges he outlines, the overwhelming feeling he projects is one of agency, of taking back control.
Definitely. That line, independence is now and the battle is just beginning. That's key.
What does that independence look like in practical terms, according to him?
He gives concrete examples: being able to buy weapons, aircraft from whoever they choose. No more asking permission.
Unlike the past, where he says imperialist forces called the shots.
Right, and conducting military operations anywhere in their own territory without needing external approval. That kind of operational freedom, it's presented as a huge shift.
And on the subject of the fight itself, he's very clear about negotiating with terrorists.
Completely rules it out. We will not negotiate. Full stop.
He even questions the motives of people who suggest dialogue. Like, whose side are you really on?
It's an uncompromising stance. Now, he does mention a call center, a way for fighters to lay down arms if they choose. But formal talks, no way. The goal, he says, is make Burkina Faso a forbidden destination for these fighters, these mercenaries.
And not just Burkina Faso, but across the whole AES region.
Exactly, a collective liberation effort.
Then there's this interesting bit where he pushes back against the labels. You know, Niger, Burkina Faso often being called the poorest countries.
Yeah, he challenges that whole narrative, questions the rankings, and basically says, if you think we're so poor and have nothing, then just leave us alone.
Leave us be. Let us sort ourselves out.
And this is where he ties security directly to economics, to resource control.
Ah, right. Examples he gives.
Niger's uranium, he points out, exploited for years, yet the country struggles with electricity. Burkina Faso's gold, massive mines, but often poor infrastructure right next door. The benefits aren't staying local, he implies.
So the decision now is?
Take control. Exploit their own gold, reorganize the army, develop themselves, economic sovereignty alongside political independence.
And linking these newly independent states together is key. He talks about opening routes between the AES countries.
Yeah, transport links, integration, which he admits their opponents see as a threat. He says AES is a nightmare for them.
Because a unified, connected AES is harder to influence.
That seems to be the implication. So they're determined to push forward with this integration despite the opposition he perceives.
He circles back to the diaspora near the end, kind of bookending the speech.
Re-emphasizes their importance, calls them the guarantor of what will be written tomorrow, a crucial role.
And stresses that there's no going back now. They've reached a point of no return.
Urges them to keep supporting Niger, to be essentially ambassadors for Burkina Faso's story. He praises the resilience of the Nigerian people, too.
It ends on a note of commitment, doesn't it?
Yeah, commitment to the legitimate aspirations of their people, framing it as a fight for the next generation, honoring the past sacrifices for the land.
So, if we boil it all down, what are the absolute core messages here?
I'd say resistance to external domination is paramount. Unity, especially unity forged through struggle, is their strength. The AES project is central, seen as genuinely world-changing.
And this fierce determination to control their own destiny, militarily, politically, economically.
Absolutely. Control over resources is a huge piece of that.
For you, what was the most striking part? Or the idea that really lingers?
Probably that independence is now declaration. It feels like such a definitive break.
Yeah, it's very final.
That and the sheer scale of ambition for AES. Not just regional cooperation, but reshaping history. Whether that's realistic or not, the ambition itself is significant.
It definitely makes you think, doesn't it? Puts a different lens on the situation in the Sahel. How might this kind of perspective change how we understand what's happening there?
And maybe globally, too. What underlying power dynamics are really driving these conflicts, shaping the stories we hear?
Yeah. What unseen forces might actually be pulling the strings definitely gives you a lot to chew on.